Good evening, Vancouver, and those watching around the world. Welcome back to Canucks After Dark, back in our normally scheduled time slot, Monday, May 16th at 10 p.m. Coming to you after a phenomenal weekend as a neutral fan of hockey. As always, joined by my co-host Canuck Clay. How you doing today, Clay?
Parker, I'm great. Great timing. This is the one off day with no games, so we can look back and then look ahead. And do you remember last Tuesday you called me the bowling phenom, which was the nicest thing you've ever said to me? Today, I'm gonna say I was almost softball phenom. I almost helped our team win, but in the end, just not good enough.
Yeah, I heard a nice little batting average of 1,000 on the
Yeah,
day. Four
I did go.
runs, four
I did.
hits.
Yeah, I did go 4 for 4.
How many
Two,
dingers though?
no, three doubles and a triple. I did not hit a dinger. Yeah,
Wow, yeah,
yeah.
hey, triple's pretty good. Triples are harder,
Thank
I
you.
think, aren't they?
Yeah,
You gotta run.
yeah. I don't think I would have made it home. I think I was out of gas pretty much by the time I
Fair.
rounded second. But thank you. How are you? How are you? How are you?
I'm good. I am good. I am still recovering from just 2 nights of amazing hockey. Like I was glued to my couch from
Yeah.
1:30 p.m. on Saturday, all
Yeah.
the way until I guess like 10:30 last night, whenever that last game ended. It was just not having a real horse in the race, rooting for things here and there, and most of those
Yeah.
things worked out. But man, it was just phenomenal hockey. 5 game sevens, four of
Yeah.
them end up within one goal, the other one two.
Yep.
You can't ask for anything better than that. And then you compare that to the NBA where the Suns got beat by like 30 something yesterday,
Yeah.
and it's like that's not a fun experience, right?
Yeah.
I mean that Stars game could have been like that if Otter wasn't that way, but yeah, we'll get to all those. We'll break down, not break down, but we'll give sort of our reaction to those series. We'll give an update on where our brackets are at, and make our picks for the second round. But I think before
Cool.
that, we're going to go into the Canucks side of things a little bit. This is Canucks After Dark after all. And some big news hit over the last week. And it was something that we felt should be coming, but I had my doubts just based on my attempt at common sense, and I was wrong. But that first topic is Bruce Boudreau returning
Yeah.
as head coach of the Canucks next year. As Jim Rutherford would say, not as a lame duck, but as the exact definition of a lame duck head coach. What was your initial thoughts on this one?
And actually, Parker, I think you did call it because I remember asking you at the end of last show. I said, "Tell me, is Boudreaux going to be coming back?" And you did say yes, but you did say maybe it would take one more week. And then
I
yeah, it was
said
quite surprising.
Yeah, I
I thought you
said
said
yes,
yeah.
but I didn't understand why it would be yes. I was like, I,
Okay.
I have a
Okay.
feeling that it's going to be yes, but if I was in
Yeah.
his situation, I don't know if I would say yes.
Right. Okay, fair enough. So it broke on Friday, like just kind of, it was kind of funny. It broke just before lunchtime on Friday. And what was interesting, Parker, is we had heard through actually Rob Simpson of Vancouver Hockey Now and Rick Dollywall that Boudreau was going to take his time because he needed to work out a couple of what he called minor important details. Kind of sounds like an oxymoron, but a minor
Yeah.
important detail. And then I know you, me, others talked about it's not money, it's not term, it's got to be coaching staff, it's maybe transparency and communication. Who knows what it was? And then we might never ever find out. But he did say when he did his little Zoom, his 5-minute Zoom from the golf course in Ontario, that he did have to figure out what he's going to do with his elderly mother, what him and his wife were going to do about traveling back and forth for the wife, and what they were going to do about a hockey team, I guess, that they managed. So 3 very important non-Canucks but family related things, and you can't blame him for taking a bit of time to sort those things out.
Right. And a little bit different from some of the speculation that came, for example, from Halpin
Yeah.
and Bruff's show, where they were talking about, maybe it's assistant coaches, right? That was sort of the road they went down. And, that didn't seem like a minor issue to me, especially on the hockey side, right? Assistant coaches are pretty big, head coach usually gets to pick those. So not sure if that was the case. It might be something we never know.
Yep.
That's okay. We're used to not knowing a lot of things
Yeah.
over here on Canucks After Dark. So
Yeah. Do you think, Parker? So I was watching Sakaris and Price with Rick Dollywall. They had him on Friday, right after the news broke. And Dollywall suggested that maybe the Canucks and Boudreau didn't like the way that things were starting to ooze out, to leak out into the media. Boudreau said this, the management said this. So they got together pretty quick and said, let's end this and let's these are easy things to figure out. Let's figure them out. Would you put any credence into that theory?
Yeah, it's very possible. I mean,
Yeah.
who did you say said that?
Dollywall on Harrison Price.
Okay, then it's reputable.
Yeah. If it was the other way, no.
Well, you wouldn't be too wrong.
Yeah.
No, I think, I take anything Dollywall says basically at face value.
Me too.
Basically the most connected seemingly of all the local media, and yeah, it's just good that he's gonna be back. It seemed like a slam dunk. The alternative was to go the Barry Trotz route, I guess, which would have been an expensive route to take, I'm sure, and risky, right? You could say, okay, well, we have Boudreau under contract till June 1st. He could wait that out. We could end up pushing him away, and then Barry Trotz could be signed somewhere else by then. And then you're kind of running low on options, at least good experienced options, at the very least. So it's PR wise, slam dunk. Hopefully things go as well as they have in the last 57 games of the season.
Sure. And I know we touched on it a little bit, but I'd love to ask you, Parker, what do you think of the talk where Rutherford did say, had a little trouble getting out of the zone, we relied on our goalie too much, need more structure? Is that all fair in love and war and talking about your head coach, or would you rather keep? I think I asked you this last week. Now is that fine, or would you rather keep that in the room?
I mean, he's not wrong, right?
Yeah.
I think, I think these are two guys who are pretty straightforward with each other and just in general, right? They're going to tell you how they feel. And I don't think feelings are going to get hurt by it. Maybe a little, maybe you can be like, well, it's a little unfair, but I mean, it's not that unfair, right? Thatcher Demko was a big reason this team got to where they did, and at least had that push late in the year. Defensively, they didn't really improve after Green left, but they didn't get worse, and the offense got a lot better, right? So there is some trade-offs, right? How much of it is, lack of structure, and was that lack of structure truly the only way to get what Bruce Boudreau got out of that team, right? That sort of fast and loose, free flowing, just go do your best to try to create some offense. And that did work a fair amount. Who knows, maybe this team, just the way they're built, just isn't going to work for structure. And that becomes the responsibility of the management group over the coach.
Yeah. All good points. And I'd say it's kind of refreshing, Parker, in one way to hear. Of course, we didn't have a president for the longest time, so that's who Jim Rutherford is. GM Patrick Alvin, he usually talks when he's with Rutherford. Rutherford seems to do more of the talking, actually. But we had Benning kind of show up once in a while to talk. So I don't know. I guess maybe I'm getting used to this transparency. I'm getting used to this availability. And I think a lot of people are waiting to see them make a true hockey move. Yes, they traded Hamonic. They got in Dermott and Richardson. But then it's being, 5 guys from the human performance development team or 5 amateur scouts, but nothing yet that affects the true roster. So I think that's going to be the true telling point, I guess.
Yeah, no, there's a lot that we're going to learn over the next 2 months, right? We've got free agency about 2 months from now, just under. We got the draft a little bit before that, a couple weeks before that. It's a lot's going on, right? There's the JT Miller angle, the Brock Besser angle, all these things that this group basically has to get done in the next 55, 60 days. And it's, hopefully they don't run out of time. They seem like a group that
Nice.
We have been accustomed to people running out of time, and it's a little scary. But they seem to have their ducks in a row, at least to an extent, and we'll see where things end up.
Yeah, and Rutherford has been on. I know he was on Frank Cervelli's podcast. He talked to Dollywall. It's funny. Dollywall just casually tweets, "Oh yeah, I just chatted, had a good chat with Rutherford," and then he puts out 7 bombs right on Twitter. Yeah. But he was saying that they obviously they still want to carve out cap space. However they do that, trading a mid-tier player, trading a big contract, whatever it is, because obviously the more cap space you have, then you can more comfortably, if they want to do this, keep Besser, Miller, and Horvat next year. It's there's some big tickets, as we've been talking about for the past 2 months.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's all I have on the Boudreau side. I think we've talked about it a fair amount lately.
Yep.
Other than that, Canucks wise, not a lot. Linus Carlson named Rookie of the Year in the Swedish Hockey League.
Nice.
I think he was 9th in overall scoring over there. He's 22, 23. He's 22 years old. So not super young. But an upgrade over last year, right? The last year he was in that sort of the Swedish one league, so that second
Yeah.
tier league in Sweden. He was a point per game player. This year he scores some more goals, has a few less assists, just under a point per game player, and ends up ninth in scoring, top of the rookie charts, and takes home the rookie of the year.
I like that. And this is Burrows, right? Because we traded Burrows for Jonathan Dahlin, and Dahlin became Carlson, correct?
Right.
Okay. And then the other one was Hansen for Godobin. I remember we traded Burrows and Hansen in one fell swoop, and we got Godobin and Dahlin back. So yes.
Right.
So Alex Burrows became Linus Carlson. Okay. I'm willing. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it's all right. It's not crazy. It's but he was a rental, and anything you get out of a rental is usually pretty good.
That's true.
We've also heard that the Canucks have, quote, all but agreed to a contract with him to bring him over to North America next year.
Nice.
Which would be great. Whether that's just giving him some AHL time or at least bring him in as a body in training camp, seeing what happens, right? If you have a guy who ends up contributing a little bit, that's great. If not, and he ends up hopefully tearing up the AHL, and whether that's like 40 points in 60 games in the AHL, it would be fantastic, and be a great depth piece going forward. Also, he is playing in the World Championships for Sweden right now.
Nice. With Ekman Larson.
Yes, and the Canucks have until the 1st of June to sign him. I think it's sort of that like transfer window from Europe.
Let's say they do sign him. He doesn't make the team next year, does he?
Probably not. I don't know really what the SHL comparables are. I just don't really know where you get exactly from that. What 46 points in 52 games translates to as an NHL player.
Right.
For reference, Jace Howerluck plays for the same team, and he had 26 points in 39 games. So he's better than Jace Howerluck.
Well, that's good.
Which isn't the highest bar, but he could at least come in and compete, right? He improved over the last year. If he improves over the offseason again, gets a little bit better, maybe he is competing for a fourth line spot, or maybe a top 6 spot in Abbotsford.
Okay, I like it. Yeah, why not have more competition in that bottom 6 for next year? Okay, that's good. Good for him.
Awesome. And then the only other Canucks based anything was, I think, Kuzmenko.
Yes.
But I think we talked about Kuzmenko a little bit last week, didn't we?
We probably touched on him, but yeah, I'll just say this. I know one person, Friedman, is saying it's down to 5 teams: Canucks, Golden Knights, Edmonton, Nashville, Carolina, and Carolina, Nashville. And then others are saying it's down to 3 Pacific teams in Vancouver, Vegas, and Edmonton. I'll say this. I think Vegas, they just fired their coach. I think we're going to talk about that. Their cap's a mess. I do think if Edmonton does well this year, cap notwithstanding, why wouldn't you want to go to play with Edmonton and Connor McDavid if you're a Kuzmenko? So I kind of want Edmonton to lose for more reasons than one. So that's kind of like my take on it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I think he's a player that could be a contributor at the very least, right? I mean, a comparable in my mind is Nikita Gusev, who plays on the same team as Kuzmenko. 3 years ago, or maybe 4 years, 2018, 2019, he had 82 points in 62 games for St. Petersburg. Wow. So basically the same sort of points per game, but a lot more assists. And then came to New Jersey the next year and put up 44 points in 66 games. Right. So a real solid second line piece. Right. And if Kuzmenko ends up being a solid third line piece, then that's, fine and dandy. It's a free asset. Not that it's guaranteed, but at the end of the day, I mean, I think he has to sign a 1-year ELC, right?
Yes.
So there's no risk, right? There's literally no risk. If you end up getting a good player, it's a free asset, and you're laughing. And yeah, you gotta think some of the options. The Vegas one doesn't make sense to me, especially after Shapachev back in the day, like 5 years ago. And they're kind of just a mess. Like there's just so much turmoil going on there. For having missed the playoffs once ever, you'd think they'd have their stuff together a little bit more. but yeah, I think Edmonton could be a fair push. I think Vancouver's got to be pushing the city angle, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey,
Yeah.
you want to come from St. Petersburg, which is like a cultured city, like a really cool, interesting city, and you go to Edmonton. You get like they can sell it. They can put a PowerPoint together and be like, look, Edmonton's PowerPoint probably showed you pictures of Banff like they did
Yeah.
during the bubble when they're like, oh, this is where everyone's going to be. It's like, no, you're in downtown
Bunch of
Edmonton. Uh,
bunch of
eh,
liars. Yeah.
yeah. So I think you could show all the nice pictures of Vancouver and be like, hey, and look, we got some room on this roster, right? There's a spot here. If you wanna come in and you know who your coach is gonna be. It's gonna be Bruce Boudreau, who's
Mm,
a really good coach and probably a great guy to learn from. He's 26 years old. He's not got a ton of learning left in him, but
yeah.
yeah, no, it's if the Canucks are a front runner, I think every free asset you can get is a good place to be.
So true. Yeah, because he's only has to sign because of his age 1 year ELC. Then yeah, he's 900 grand or whatever. That's nothing. And for a cap strap team like the Canucks, that is found money. Then you worry about his big contract after that. Let's see how good he is. But I love what you said. He's more Gusev and less Kaprizov. So no one should expect this guy just because he's from Russia and he's older that he's going to be the next Kirill Kaprizov. No, I've heard that Gusev comparison. I think that's a good comparison. So and Gusev was a very serviceable player, as you mentioned. So
Mhm.
let's see what happens. I'm hoping Edmonton, well, I don't want to give away my picks, but I kind of just did. But yeah, we'll see. And Kuzmenko's, he's going to take his time. There's absolutely no rush for him to sign with anyone right now.
Yep.
Yep.
Absolutely. All right. Now we've got now I guess we just go into the NHL, right?
Sure.
We got so much happened over this last week. And I think we start with a team that didn't make the playoffs, a team that I've been clowning on a little bit recently, and I
Yep.
think well deserved. That's the Vegas Golden Knights going
Yep.
out this morning, I think it was, and
Mhm.
firing their head coach. Remember when DeBoer was hired? What a weird thing that was. They like fired
Yeah.
Gallant, brought in DeBoer because they had beat them like it was weird. It was a really weird scenario, and everything
Very
just
weird.
was kind of off since then. So Vegas letting go of Peter DeBoer, and they're gonna have some candidates coming in. Whether that's Barry Trotz as an option, which would
Mm.
be an interesting one.
Yeah.
I thought I saw the name Joel Quenneville sort of tossed around a little bit. I don't remember exactly who
Wow.
that was, um, but I think that was maybe more of a joke tweet. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
I think it was like if anyone could get him reinstated, it's Vegas or something like that. Um, there's options out there, but it does feel like one missing the playoffs once and going that route is very aggressive.
Yeah, yeah. I kind of joked about that in my vlog today. Parker is imagine the Canucks. I don't want to make fun, but imagine the Canucks fired their coach every time they missed the playoffs. We'd have like 7 coaches on the payroll right now.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's so
no,
bad, but
it's
what a high standard. And I get it. I know Justin Credible, one of our most loyal viewers, he absolutely cannot stand Vegas. I know a lot of people can't stand Vegas because we're jealous. They come in and they make it to the Stanley Cup final in their first year of existence. Like, who does that? And
well, they lost
they
at least.
yeah, that's true. That's true. So, and you're right. DeBoer leads San Jose over to Vegas the year before. Then they pick him up for, I guess he lasted 4 years there or whatever, 3 or 4 years there. But yeah, that's going to be a very, very hot destination. And imagine if Trotz does go there, Parker, then we get to see him at least 4 or 5 times a season, a Trotz coach team after being in
4
the
or
East.
5 snoozers.
You think he would be able to snooze that team down even?
Well, they were pretty snoozeworthy themselves.
True,
Even
true,
with
true,
Eichel and Stone and all these guys, they couldn't pull
Yep.
it off.
Yep.
I imagine Trotz is going to make that team a little more structured if he were to go there, a little more boring, but maybe win a handful more games. That's what they need.
Yep, that's fair. So I mean not Trotz. So DeBoer's out. He'll land again. You think?
Probably, yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
There'll be a few more dominoes to fall.
Yep.
I am sure. Do you want to
Yep.
go over some playoff series? Because
Sure.
these
Let's
all
do
these all
that.
ended in the last week. I think was the Avs Preds series over by the time we did our show last week? It very well could have
It
been.
sure felt like it. I actually think the Avalanche have forgotten that they're in the playoffs. Actually, they haven't played in an entire week. I'm pretty sure it was Monday or Tuesday that they
Yeah,
swept them.
Monday they won. So yeah, we already have talked about that one. So we can skip it. I had Colorado winning in 4.
You got that. I had Colorado in 5. So let's remind everyone. We'll do the total at the very end, the grand reveal. But we said if you got the right team, it's 3 points. And if you got the right number of games with the correct winning team, it's a bonus point. Is that correct?
Correct.
So in that one, you got all 4 points.
Yeah.
And I only
so
got
that
3.
was
okay.
That was a blowout of a series, and we've already talked about it. But some other series to fall, sticking with that division, was the St. Louis over Minnesota in 6. I had Minnesota taking this one, and the majority of people did. I think Jay Fresh put his poll results today, and I saw it was like 98% of people picked Colorado to win, and 65% of people picked Minnesota to win, and I was one of them. Minnesota seemed like a team that was really getting it together, a team with 2 fantastic goaltenders, a real star in Kaprizov, and they just couldn't get it done. So the Blues moving on to take on Colorado. I mean, the winner of this series was probably getting an extra 4 or 5 games, to be honest. And it just happened to be St. Louis in this case.
Yeah. What did you think? So yes, Parker, to confirm, we both got this wrong. I had Minnesota in 7. You had Minnesota in 6. So no points for either of us in this one. What did you think of that decision to start Talbot in game 6? In game 7.
Game 6.
Game 6, right? You didn't even get to 7. Yeah.
Yeah. It seemed a little weird. It was kind of like, hey, Talbot, we replaced you with Marc-Andre Fleury. Who's, if you're going to get replaced by anyone, pretty good option. But saying like, yeah, we replaced you with this guy, and oh man, we're up against it. Can you come save us, please? Right? Like, come and bail us out. It didn't work. And I don't know. It's St. Louis just happened to be the better team. They brought Jordan Binnington back, which is fun. I love that guy. But yeah, they pulled it off.
They did. I was actually surprised that they did, but just as Minnesota's got some really nice young pieces, I guess St. Louis does too with the Thomas. They're really deep actually up front. Yeah. So got to give them full, and they still have Pietrangelo back there. No, what am I talking about? He plays for Vegas now. So yeah, they still. Who's their big? Oh, Torrey Krug. Yes, they got a good team. They do
have a good hockey team. There was one other series that didn't go to 7. And this one was starting out shaky for the Florida Panthers. I think they were down 2-1 in this series, if I'm not mistaken. Came back, won game 4 in overtime to stay alive, won game 5-3, and then pulled out game 6 in overtime, which is just the best way to win a hockey game, with a Carter Verhaeghe goal about 3 minutes in, and taking down Washington, who looked like they were maybe gearing up for a little bit of a run here, putting Florida, one of the best offensive teams in hockey, up against the ropes, and Florida just clawed back and took it.
Parker, for this one, I was watching game 4. You're right. Washington was up 2-1. They were up by a goal. Florida had their net pulled, and I can't remember who it was. A Washington player shot it from his side of ice, missed the empty net by literally a couple feet, icing instead of a 2-goal lead. Florida goes on to score, and then they win. So instead of a 3-1 series lead, now it's 2-2 with Florida having all the momentum. It's so crazy how a difference of 3 or 4 feet makes. It's nuts.
Yeah, that's all it takes sometimes, and that's 3 of the series down. So that moves. I lost my. There we go.
It's okay. Why you do that? So you nailed it. We both said actually Florida in 5. So we both got the team, but not the number of games. So that's 3 points for you, 3 points for me. So if you're keeping tally, you're up 7-6 on me right now.
Got it. And then that took us to Saturday. I don't know how they pulled this off scheduling wise, but they had it set up so that every game 7 would land on a Saturday or Sunday. and
Wow.
they actually scheduled it well. They didn't put 2 games on at the same time. They said Saturday we're going from 1:30 to 4 to 7, and on Sunday we'll do 4 and 7, and you can watch every moment of every single game and not miss anything. And it was fantastic. So Saturday we get
Yep.
Boston, we get Carolina at PNC Arena, game 7. Boston, obviously, we have feelings about. I think we were probably both rooting for Carolina in this case.
Yeah.
And they Max Domi had the game of his life. It was unbelievable. 2 goals and an assist. His first 2 goals, the playoffs, basically.
Yep.
And taking out the Boston Bruins, potentially ending Patrice Bergeron's career, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah.
But it is a big win for Carolina, who move on, and we'll obviously get to the Rangers Penguins, but move on against a team that is going to be beatable for them, and should
Yep.
also be an interesting one.
Great point about Max Domi. He certainly played very well. Yes, Patrice Bergeron, the way he was acting, the way people were shaking his hand and hugging him. If I had to bet, I bet he's not coming back. And do you get special satisfaction, Parker, of seeing Marchand just there, hand on the stick, kind of at the end, or are you past that now?
A little bit, but also Marchand did some good things this week as well. The Tony D'Angelo incident comes to mind. I hate Brad Marchand, but man, he's funny. And he's a heck of a hockey player. And it's getting harder and harder to dislike him at times.
Yeah.
But for me,
Yeah.
it's just seeing the yellow and black jerseys as a whole is the sweet part for me.
So Parker, you remember you picked Carolina in 7. I picked Carolina in 7. We had 4 points apiece there. So now you are up on me 11-10.
We both nailed that one.
Yep.
That is great. So after that game, we get the finish, not overtime, but we get the finish there. Pasternak scoring with 22 seconds to go as well in that one to make it a little scary. And I think they had a shot with a second left that looked a little frightening, but they hang on. And then 4 p.m. Saturday night, prime time, we get Tampa Bay going to Toronto, and the unthinkable happens. It was absolutely a phenomenal hockey game. Like, let's get that straight. That was one of the best hockey games I have ever watched. You get Nick Paul scoring both Tampa Bay goals. That second one he scored was unreal. To basically pull it through his legs, kick it up to his stick, and just get it through Campbell. What a beautiful goal. You get that little touch of controversy on the Tavares goal that gets called back on the interference. And I can't say enough good things about, like, this was the blueprint of what Stanley Cup playoff hockey should be. If you want to show someone, hey, this is playoff hockey, and the emotion behind it, and give them that backstory of, Toronto not winning a round in 18 years, and be like, look, these fans are desperate. And the storylines were, it was just so perfect. Like, it was such a perfect playoff hockey game.
Our picks notwithstanding, we'll get to that in a couple minutes. Do you derive any satisfaction, Parker, from seeing the Leafs lose or the Leafs fans suffer?
Well, this, I mean, look, I hate to.
That was good. I was not expecting that.
I hate to be mean.
2004, like 4?
I was 7.
Okay, sorry.
And I had a friend who was a Maple Leafs fan, and he was always talking about how his team has won Stanley Cups. But there was 5 other teams in the NHL. Come on. No, the part of me wanted Toronto to win this series. I think I dislike the idea of the Toronto Maple Leafs more than I dislike this Toronto Maple Leafs team. Because I watched this team play and I want to watch them play more, right? I was there was a part of me coming down towards the end of this game. I wanted them to score. I wanted overtime, right? That was my dream. I was like, let's get some overtime in this game. But I genuinely, I was genuinely thinking that this is a team that I want to watch more of. I have the fear of a team that is built this seemingly well, at least offensively, this exciting of a team. My fear is that if they keep failing, it's going to push the NHL away from it, away from building these high flying, fully skill based teams. And that's the kind of hockey that I want to see. Cause it's not like they can't be physical, right? They've got a few guys and they've got some, they've got a bit of physicality at least. And so part of me was thinking of it in that case. And I mean, I just don't understand how you could handle the pain of that loss. And there was a part of me that felt genuinely painful. I was like, that is pure suffering. I couldn't go through that every single time, like clockwork, to lose it in 7. You just can't explain it.
Yeah, no, that's well said, Parker. That's a good articulate answer. I derive no satisfaction from seeing that particular fan base suffer. I know a lot of good people who cover the team. I know a lot of people who live in Toronto. I have friends in Toronto. I've talked about my cousin's work with Dusty's work with Jack Campbell when Campbell was with LA. So I like that storyline too. So I was kind of rooting for him a little bit, but I wasn't cheering for Toronto lose. As you know, Tampa is one of my favorite teams. So I was cheering for Tampa to win. So that was kind of like my out for this one is I want to see good hockey first and foremost, which we did. A phenomenal game, but I was okay for the result for that reason, but not because I wanted to see, another year of suffering tacked on for sure.
Yeah. And the way this game played out was crazy. You get the Nick Paul goal for Tampa Bay late in the first. You get that disallowed goal for Tavares. I mean, it was a penalty. It just was. The whistle went a good half second. Like the whistle went before Tavares shot the puck, right?
Yeah,
like I was watching, I heard the whistle and then I saw him shoot it and I was like, oh, the whistle went, and I see them celebrating. I'm like, oh, this is going to hurt. Like they don't know. Oh no, they don't know. Oh no, Hall and Oates is playing. Oh, they're going to be it's going to hurt so much. And then I was just sitting there watching, like, just that pain of like knowing something that they don't. That was one of the tougher parts for me, because I mean, if I was in that situation, like the heartbreak from something like that is unreal, right? Toronto lost again, and it's crazy. Tampa Bay moves on, and I thought Tampa Bay would be a bit on the downslope here, and they haven't really gotten worse, right? And that would have been a fair point, but they're not the team that they didn't play like the 61 win team that they were, right?
That's fair.
That was right. So I thought, okay, they've gotten a little bit worse. They lose Braden Point after the first period as well. It felt like a series that I thought Toronto should have won, but man, if you're going to give them any competition, you gave them the hardest one they could get, right? The 2-time Stanley Cup champs. There's no shame losing to that team, and it's not like you got outplayed, right? You ran into Andrei Vasilevsky, who's the best goalie in the world right now, basically. Shesterkin notwithstanding, at least if we're just looking at Vezinas and playoff success. You ran to the best team from the last 2 years, and I don't think you need to go blowing things up. I can see why it might feel like you have to, because it feels like you just keep hitting the same wall over and over and over again. But they have a heck of a hockey team, and I would love a team that is built in that way to have success.
You make a lot of great points. You're right. Tampa, for the especially first 4 games, they didn't play like a 2-time Stanley Cup champion. And I know, didn't Vasilevsky give up a 6 or 7 spot once? I can't remember
I don't remember.
But I do know in game 7 is like, you could tell that he thought he was unbeatable. Just how confident he is challenging shooters. There were so many grade A chances for both teams in the slot, and he would either get the stick on it or his blocker. And then Tampa also in the third period, Parker, I'm sure you noticed, they did such a magnificent job of collapsing. There would be times where all 5 Tampa skaters would be basically creating a straight line or bunching up the crease. So Toronto did get looks, but they really didn't get a lot of like phenomenal chances either. So it was tough. It was, I'm sure it was frustrating for Leafs fans for sure.
Yeah, the money puck deserved to win -meter had Toronto just under 70%.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Expected goals in all situations were 3.6 to 2
Yep.
In favor of Toronto. And if you look at the chart on where that comes from, it's all in the third period. At the 44-minute mark of the game, so with 16 minutes to go, the teams were even in expected goals, and the Leafs made up that 1.5 goal difference in the last 16 minutes alone. But they just couldn't beat Andrei Vasilevsky.
Yeah. Yep. So this was the one series that we differed. We both had 6 games. You had Toronto. I had Tampa. Could have gone either way. Obviously, it was a 1 goal difference, but I snagged these 3 points. So now I'm up 13-11.
Right. That is correct.
Yep.
And then on that night, Saturday night, we get the third game 7 of the weekend. And that is LA and Edmonton. And if you had asked me who the game-winning goal would go to in Game 7, Cody Ceci would not have been my choice. But Cody Ceci it was. A series where Edmonton has, Edmonton's biggest weakness is goaltending.
Yeah.
And their goaltender that night, Mike Smith, was perfect. And Jonathan Quick was also almost perfect, stopping 39 of 41.
Wow.
But Connor McDavid took over that game.
What a beast.
He just said, we're not doing this again. We're not losing. We're going to move on. Only 1 penalty in this whole game. It was just straight up pure Game 7 hockey. And this was the game that had the biggest margin of all the Game 7s, and it was still super tight the whole way until McDavid basically iced it with 4 minutes to go. Another series that, again, could have gone either way, but couldn't have been much more entertaining, at least near the end of the series.
Yeah, and we both had Edmonton in 6, so we pick up 3 points each. So that brings it to 16-13, so very close. 16-14, excuse me. This one was, I know a lot of people, and I put myself in this boat as well. I want to see what McDavid does as games get even more important. So I wanted to see between those 2 teams, I wanted to see Edmonton get through, because I wanted, not even the Canadian thing for me, Parker. I want to see what McDavid and Draisaitl by extension do in important games. So I'm excited.
Yeah, there was the Edler Stetcher factor for me that made me root for LA a bit. But again, I want to see fun teams get through. And I can dislike the Oilers all I want. I don't think they're winning the Stanley Cup, and that's why I don't think I was too concerned about this. Yeah, right. I was like, I don't really care if Edmonton gets through, because I want to watch good hockey, and having McDavid and Draisaitl on the ice makes the hockey better. Right, having Mike Smith on the ice makes the hockey better too, because it could go any which way. So I think the Oilers moving on was something I was pretty happy with. I had them in 6. I don't remember what you had.
Yep, same. So we each got the 3 points. Yeah,
and that was just Saturday. Sunday.
That was Saturday.
Sunday there was 2 more Game 7s, and it starts off in the East, and we get the Rangers and we get the Penguins, and a series that the Rangers were supposed to win. That ended up going to 7 games, and they only really get through because Pittsburgh loses Sidney Crosby for a chunk, and they have no goaltender for the last half of the series and end up with Louis Domingue in net. And even then, it took Game 7 overtime for the Rangers to break through.
And it's crazy. I had Pittsburgh in 6, so no chance. You actually had Pittsburgh in 7, so this could have been a big swing game, obviously, and it just took that Yeah, and Pittsburgh, I'm sure you saw the tweet. They were so excited. Crosby was going to play. Raquel was coming back, and Jari back in the net. So they're feeling pretty good despite it being an away game. But I was at church for this one, so I didn't even see. Was the game-winning goal any good? It was a power play,
Yeah,
right?
it was on the power play. It was
Yeah.
just a snipe from Panarin, wrist shot from
Okay.
sort of the top of the circle. Just walked in, ripped it. Lots of traffic in front. Gets past Jari, who didn't have a great night, 26 to 30. It was pretty slick. And I mean, this game had Pittsburgh in front, right? Pittsburgh was in front by a goal. They scored that shorthanded goal by Evan Rodriguez with I think a second left on that power play. Zibanejad had to tie it with about 6 minutes to go, and Panarin ended up winning it. So yeah, Pittsburgh was 6 minutes away from moving on.
Wow.
But they couldn't get it done, and that overtime penalty was an obvious one too. It wasn't like, oh wow, they called that in Game 7 overtime. It was Condre Miller, I think, was on a full-on breakaway, and Brock McGinn just full stick over the whole body across like this to stop him from scoring. Should have been a penalty shot, but they're not calling a penalty shot in Game 7 overtime. Although that would have been fun. So yeah, it's not like no controversy there on that call. And yeah, it's Artemi Panarin getting it done.
A lot of free agents too, Parker, in Pittsburgh. Malkin,
Letang,
Rust,
huge.
Yeah.
Rust is going to get a little pay bump, I would imagine. He came from nowhere and has had like 3 outstanding seasons. Did you hear the rumor that they offered Malkin and Letang 3 by $5 million each?
What, for half a season?
Yeah, right. 3 years, $15 million a piece is the rumored number. And the other rumor is that made Crosby pretty unhappy because that's crazy. That like I get it if you're trying to like, oh, we're trying to do a hometown discount because we're trying to run it back one more time. But like you're gonna get Evgeny Malkin to take basically a 50% pay cut. He had a point a game this year, right? He had 6 points in the playoffs. Chris Letang, who's I guess getting up there, right? He's 35. So is Malkin, but yeah, Chris. Do you know how many points Chris Letang had this year? He had 68 points. 68 points as a defenseman at 35 years old. That's not a $5 million player. That's an $8-9 million player, right? You're looking at Brent Burns, Eric Carlson, Drew Doughty, right? He deserves a raise over his 7.25 that he's making, even though he's 35 years old, right? Not a 25% pay cut. So if those are true rumors, that is absolutely crazy.
Wow.
And could cause some real issues in Pittsburgh.
And of course, Pittsburgh is the team that our current president of hockey operations helped to build. So storylines never end, Parker. So this one, we both get skunked. So heading into the final series, I'm up 16-14 on you. Will it change with the final series?
Well, this one was crazy because I had Calgary sweeping Dallas because Calgary is a much better team than Dallas. But my goodness, they have a star between the pipes. This series was pretty boring most of the way through. It was 2 teams that couldn't score on each other, right? I don't know what the total goals for the series was, but they were averaging like 4 goals a game between the 2 of them.
Parker, I have 4 Calgary Flames in one of my hockey pools. I'm in dead last, and I still have all my guys alive.
That is crazy. We go to a Game 7 where one team has 67 shots and the other has 28, and it went to overtime. So Ben opens the scoring like less than a minute in. Toffoli ties at the start of the second. Mestikov gives him the lead right back. Tkachuk scores with about 8.5 into the second period. So this game is tied at 2 halfway through. And the way it's been, it's basically next goal wins. They go the entire third period without scoring. A third period where now the second period, right? We just discussed it. Calgary had 2 goals. Dallas had 1. So shots in the first period were 17-8 for Calgary. Do you know what the shots in the second period were?
17-8, 20-4. I don't know.
Try 26-4 in favor of Calgary. So they outshoot them 6.5x in the second period. Third period, Dallas outshoots Calgary 11-9. They get some legs going. And then we go to overtime, and Dallas is just on the ropes for 15 minutes straight. There is a sequence from Jake Ottinger about 30 seconds before Boudreau scores the winner, where he makes some of the most marvelous saves you will ever see. He had Roberto Luongo tweet out, "That's not normal." That's all he said.
That's not normal.
That's literally what he said. And it took a literally perfect shot from Johnny Gaudreau right here beside your face, like against the post, like an unsavable shot, unless for some reason the goalie's sitting there like this with his arm up, right? Which goalies don't do. That doesn't make any sense. So you leave that little spot there, so you have your arm on your side. 15 shots in overtime for Calgary to 5 of Dallas. It felt like a matter of time, but it also felt like one of those things like, man, Dallas is going to score a weird one, and it's going to be all in the back of Ottinger. 64 saves on 67 shots for Jake Ottinger. Somehow only the second star of the game. The people in Calgary who picked the stars a little bit homerish there. I think you got to make him the first star for that performance. Again, just another phenomenal hockey game.
It took a perfect shot to beat him. Wow. And there's he's a free agent, right? An RFA. He can get paid.
He might be. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I just heard.
He's only 23 years old. Let me pull it up. Sure. Yeah, he is an RFA. So he made $1 million coming into this year.
Wow.
Yeah, he had a .914 save percentage in the regular season, which is fantastic especially for a rookie 23-year-old goalie. And then to go into the playoffs, put up a .954 in a 7-game series, and basically be the reason that series goes to 7. Right? I mean, sounds like another goalie that we know. That's the reason a series went to 7 a couple of years ago. I guess he's not a rookie goalie. He played 29 games last year too with a .911 save percentage. So he's been very, very, very good.
Very similar. Yeah. Very similar to Demko. Yeah.
Wow. And Dallas has basically ended up with their starting goalie for the future. Right. I think their Holtby contract expires. I don't think they're going to be needing him very much. But yeah, they have got a true star goaltender on their hands into the future.
All right, so we should probably spend a few minutes talking about round 2. So you picked Calgary in 4, very bold. I remember telling you were very bold. I picked Calgary in 5, so we don't get the games. We get the points. Give us both 3. So after round 1, it's not over. After round 1, I'm up 19-17. And if you get the 2-point difference, it's only because I picked Tampa, you picked Toronto, and you actually outpointed me in games by 1. So that's why there's a 2-point difference. So yes, 19-17 with 7 more series to choose still.
8 down, 7 to go. It's a 2-point difference. We're still alive. We've got our picks locked in, written down. We haven't told each other yet, so there's no changing to be made at this point. But the first series we are going to talk about is the battle for the Central Division title.
Before you get to that, Parker, I just want to acknowledge, excuse me, sorry to interrupt, Lucas's donation. Thank you.
I didn't see it.
We'll go very quick. He says, thoughts on Marner's carjacking incident. I actually haven't read about it. I know. Yeah, it's sad. That's a tough couple days for him. But that's, without joking, that's horrible. You don't want that on anyone. That's very scary.
Yeah, I don't have much info on it.
But thank you, Lucas, for the support as always. Okay. All right.
Colorado, the 1 seed. The favorite to win the Stanley Cup this year, going up against a team that was going to be kind of iffy to even make it here. The St. Louis Blues, team that was the underdog against the Minnesota Wild. They come through, they win it. Jordan Binnington unleashing a bit of his former self, unfortunately. But they're up against a team that won 56 hockey games this year, that scored 78 more goals than they allowed. But keep in mind, St. Louis was pretty good too. They won 49 games, had 109 points, 69 positive goal differential. It is two teams that scored the same amount of goals during the regular season, off by one. It should be a fun series. It should be a high flying, a good chunk of goals being scored, right? Both of these teams basically averaged 4 goals a game throughout the regular season. So hopefully we get a little bit more of that coming into this. Colorado, as well rested as you can get. When does this season start, or this series start?
Tomorrow.
Do you have it in front of you? It starts tomorrow.
Yeah.
That is great. It's good for Colorado. You'd want St. Louis to get a little bit less rest.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's it's going to be a fun one.
So I want to remind all our viewers, as you did last week, it was a lot of fun because Parker and I went back and we read all the comments and we saw all of your predictions, 2 weeks ago, your predictions as well. So type them in as we go. And very quickly, Jaskrin, we hate Binnington because the year that Pettersson won the Calder, Binnington basically hinted that he thought he should have won the Calder.
It's not even that. To me, Binnington's just a bit of a
goof. I know you
whiner, like he get the whole thing's him like almost fighting people and skating away. That cracked me up. The whole lucky goals thing with Besser. He just seems like he's a little salty. So I don't like him very much. But
okay.
We're seeing some predictions coming in. Avs in 7, Avs in 6, Avs in 5, Blues in 4. Where are you going?
Matt's very bold. Matt. So I will go Colorado. How about you?
Colorado.
Okay. And I will say in 5. Oh, okay. Actually, no, I should be happy if we pick the same.
Also in 5. Yeah, that's good. If we pick the same way, the way out, you're good.
You catch me. No.
So we both have Colorado in 5.
All right.
Sweep seemed a little unlikely for me. It feels like a series where St. Louis should win a game, and I think they'll win a couple probably, but I also think Colorado's got it in them to sort of run them out of the building.
Yes, I agree.
Lego's going Avs in 6. Twisted Wrists are going Blues in 7.
Well, we got all the YouTube legends in here. I'm going to change. Oh, I can't. But one of them said Avs, and one of them. Yeah, okay. Thank you for being here, Nick and Gio. Appreciate you guys. Okay.
Our second Western Conference matchup.
It is a little bit of a battle here.
It is the Battle of Alberta. And man, that's why I'm so happy that Calgary did pull it off last night, as much as I love Jake Ottinger. Dallas, Edmonton would not have that same vibe. Dallas wouldn't be as fun. Battle of Alberta. It is going to be a ton of fun. I've got Calgary.
Okay, so do I.
And I've got them in 6.
I'm not just doing this to you. So do I. Yeah.
So we're both on the same
you can't
page.
catch me yet.
Calgary in 6. So that takes us down to basically 5 series left for me to make up my deficit here.
2 points. 2 point
which
deficit.
Is not ideal.
Do you think Cassian and Tkachuk, we know the history from 2 years. They're not going to do anything stupid, are they? No, they're too. Well, it's a great trade-off. If those two scrap and they get
it's a great trade-off for Edmonton.
Oh, that's amazing. I would try and do it like right from the start.
Yeah, no, and then you get someone trying to fight Draisaitl on Calgary side. You get like Lucci trying to fight Draisaitl, and then we're right back.
Yeah. Just kick Draisaitl in the ankle. No, that's not very nice. Okay,
that would be cool.
A lot of love for actually, it's pretty split. It's pretty split.
Yeah, Oilers in 6 from Twisted Wrister.
Yeah,
we're getting some. A little bit interesting. I just think Calgary is. I just think they're built better. I'm shocked that series went to 7. I think just with such low scoring, you get that high amount of variance. I don't think the Oilers are as good defensively as Dallas is. They also don't have. They don't have a Jake Ottinger. They have a Mike Smith, who was great in the last series, but he might not be this time. He can turn around on a dime. So
maybe Dallas lulled Flames to sleep. And I love what Lego said. He said Dallas took Tkachuk out a ton with pointless fights earlier in the series. So it could happen.
Yeah, definitely possible. Calgary underestimated Dallas, right?
Yeah.
And for decent reason. And they almost got goalied out of the whole series.
Yeah.
So that's our Western Conference predictions. We go to the East and we start in the Atlantic. We have the 1 seed, the Florida Panthers, up against the defending Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning, who just knocked off one of the hottest teams in hockey, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Although there was a bit of a curse at play, let's be fair, it wasn't all Tampa Bay. So this is the Battle of Florida. We get the Battle of Alberta. We get the Battle of Florida.
Yeah.
This is one I could see. I could see this going any which way. I could see every game being tight. I could
Right.
see games being blowouts. I could see it going out in 4. I could see it going 7. This thing is as unpredictable as it gets for me.
I am willing to bet even before and yes, obviously we haven't talked to each other about these picks. I'm willing to bet that this is the one where we're different.
I don't know.
Okay, because okay,
we'll
just
see. The same.
It might be okay. I'll go first on this one. You guys know Tampa. I want to.
I'm nervous.
You guys know Tampa is my third favorite team. Vancouver, Winnipeg, Tampa, and Colorado. Those are my top 4. So maybe I'd want a Tampa, Colorado final because I can't have a Vancouver, Winnipeg. Well, you can't anyways. They're on the same side. Florida is very deep up front. Ekblad versus Hedman. I love Vasilevsky in net. I'm scared about Braden Point's injuries, but it's added all together. Parker, I want to see your face. I'm going Tampa on 7. Yeah, that's what you were going to say too. Is it?
Yeah.
Well, thank you for not lying. That tells me that you are a man of integrity, that you did not change your pick.
That's
yes. Okay.
Crazy.
So 3 of our series so far, we've had the exact same thing.
That's wild. That is wild. I think Florida puts up a heck of a fight. I think Tampa showed over the last 2 weeks that, especially over the last 5 days, right? The game 6 gutsy overtime win, and then the game 7 win as well. They showed why they've won the Stanley Cup twice in the last 2 years. And they've shown that they are going to be a heck of a tough team to beat. And again, we're talking about, the best goalie in the world right now.
Right.
And again, even with the seasons Shesterkin's had, you've got the pedigree of Andrei Vasilevsky. You've got the 2 Stanley Cups. You got the Vezina Plus. You got all this other stuff. If there's any team that I wouldn't want to go up against as Florida, it would be this one. If it was Florida against Carolina or Florida against New York, I'm taking Florida in 5 or 6. But it being Tampa Bay, I think if Florida gets through this, I think the winner of this series is your Eastern Conference representative. I think.
Yeah, keep going.
I that's all I've got. I think that this is it. This is the battle for the Eastern Conference. A team that wins this has a genuine chance at winning a Stanley Cup, right? You have to get through Carolina or New York, two teams that are probably worse than you, and then you're going to have to probably get through Colorado. And that's so if you can get through this opponent, this is going to be the one that gets you there.
Yeah, and I don't mean to be so distracting. What I was doing, Parker, so people know we're not cheating, I actually wrote down my 4th one, so I will hold it up instead of saying it so people will know I'm not cheating. It's like a magic trick, right? I know you trust me. And for everyone who just tuned in and wondering why I'm so dang happy every time Parker and I have the same thing, we have this little bet. If you get the team right, you get 3 points. If you get the right number of games with that team winning, you get a bonus point. Heading into round 2, I'm up on Parker by 2 points, 19-17. So if we keep choosing the exact same thing, he physically cannot catch up. So 3 for 3. Parker, set up this last one. And I got my sign ready. I can't wait.
Carolina, New York. Carolina, the 1 seed. The New York Rangers, the 2 seed. The Rangers coming off of a gutsy win over the former 2-time Stanley Cup champion Pittsburgh Penguins. And Carolina coming off of surviving the Boston Bruins and pulling that one out in 7. So 2 teams coming off not a lot of rest, 2 teams that had to battle hard and win it in 7, 2 teams that are probably going to be pretty even. We're talking about a team that I think is better in Carolina against a goalie I think is better in Shesterkin. And I'm really worried about what you're about to hold up.
Well, I have it here. You say yours, and then I'll immediately hold up mine so that we know there's no funky business. And even if we pick the same team, number of games different, you can only climb to within 1 after round 2. Correct?
Unless I have the New York Rangers.
All right. You go first.
Well, I have the New York Rangers winning.
In
6. Damn it, no. I have the Canes in 6. I was lying.
Oh, you're good, Matt. So we have the exact same picks.
We have the exact same picks for all 4 series.
Yeah, I'm gonna be ahead of round 2 too. Sorry.
I need some sort of contingency here. I need a way to add points into this system somehow.
Well, you still have the conference finals and the
still
final.
3 series. I still have 3 more chances. We picked these 4 all the same. We're not going to pick the other 3 different.
Oh, no way. There's no way we're going to pick the last 3 the same.
That
is hilarious, man. Maybe that's why we get along so well. That's why we have the show together. That's why we have decent chemistry, because we, at least for round 2, we think the exact same way.
Yeah, I guess
we could go over 4. We could suck. We could get all 4 wrong.
If I had just taken Tampa, but I believed. I thought, no, this curse isn't real. You know, they're a good hockey team. Toronto can win. At least I'm not a Toronto fan. I guess that would be worse.
You are hilarious.
Yeah. Anyways, I'll put that way. That's our picks for round 2. We both have Colorado in 5, Calgary in 6, Tampa Bay in 7, and Carolina in 6, which would leave, in our perfect world, Colorado, Calgary, which would be fantastic, and Tampa Bay, Carolina, which I think Tampa Bay is going to have a pretty decent time with. We'll see though. We might be wrong.
Trying to throw me off, man. You're just trying to throw me off.
Hey, we could both get 0 points in all 4 of these, and that would
okay. If I may, Parker, before we wrap up, Colorado 5, Calgary 6, Tampa 7, Carolina 6. Of those 4, which one were you debating, or which one could you have gone a different way with, either in games or winner?
Battle of Alberta. I was close to picking 7 games. But I still would have leaned Calgary. The Tampa, Florida one, I am usually not one to weight pedigree very high, which is why I had Toronto ahead of Tampa, which is why I had Minnesota ahead of St. Louis. Am I being influenced a little bit by what happened in the first round? Maybe. And that worries me a little bit on those. If I had to pick these series 2 weeks ago before the first round of the playoffs, I probably would have had Florida ahead of Tampa, and I probably would have had, actually, no, that would have been the only one that changed.
Right.
But I think this last couple weeks has made me more impressed with Tampa, although that Braden Point thing could be a real problem.
I agree. And I ran this little confidence pool for some people, and I'm hooped now because I had St. Louis ranked so low because I was so confident Minnesota was going to win. I went 6 for 8, right? I went Carolina. I got Pittsburgh wrong, and I got Minnesota wrong. And because I gave so many points in my pool to Minnesota and not St. Louis, yeah, I'm basically done already.
Yeah. Well, the last 2 rounds, I might have to get crazy. I might have to go in there picking. Yeah, I might have to go in there picking the Hurricanes or something in round 3, or, we'll see. If I'm down by 2, I'm going to have to just make a different pick for the sake of it and hope for the best.
That's true.
Which could get interesting.
But you got 2 weeks to worry about it, brother. You got 2 weeks to worry about it.
Yeah, no, it'll be, it's another fun 2 weeks. We got these series going till May 30th.
Yeah.
Is the end date penciled in? I said Colorado in 5. I hope it goes to 7. I said Calgary. That Battle of Alberta. Oh, it'd be so good if that went to 7. I hope every series goes to 7 games. That's all that's all I root for in the playoffs. So my team's out of it. I just want to, because those 5-game 7s that we got to watch this last weekend, it was just the best hockey the best hockey experience you'll have over the course of a year as a neutral fan. So that wraps up our picks. We're exactly the same, and which make a little bit less exciting, I guess, for the next 2 weeks, but that's all right.
And what we could do next week, depending, because we only have 4 series to cover instead of 8. And if there's no Canucks news, if there isn't, maybe next week might be a good time to do a quick revisit of our preseason predictions before it gets too late in the summer. Would you agree on that?
Yes. Yeah. I can round those up. We'll see what happens over the next week, because I do think the last couple of weeks of the playoffs will get really into the sort of off-season grind, some contracts, things like that. We'll see what happens. But yeah, just gonna sit back and enjoy watching some more hockey.
Thanks to everyone who put questions in. We're sorry we didn't get to them today, but we appreciate them nonetheless. We were too busy marveling over how we have the exact same picks for the second round. I'm still over
we still haven't specified what the bet is, by the way, on this.
Well, we can decide that next week because there's
and
no
we still haven't
difference.
decided what our
Yeah.
bet would be on the preseason one either. And
That's
so
true too.
we don't know who's won. I've forgotten everything about it.
By you.
So we've got to figure those out.
Yeah, you know what? Let's do this. At the start of whenever in next week's show that we start talking about our preseason bets, let's go to the people, and without knowing who won or whatever, somehow we agree on that. And then eventually we got 2 weeks to figure out what this wager should be too. So yeah, we'll go to the people for sure. For sure.
Awesome. All right. Thank you guys very much for joining. We'll be back here next Monday. I think I haven't checked my hockey schedule. While we're still here, Clay, stall for me. I'll check to make sure we're doing the show next Monday.
No problem. I will stall. I usually have softball on Monday, but it ends at 8:30. Then bowling on Tuesday, but that usually ends by 10. So sometimes we can bump to Tuesday. But generally, Parker's the busier guy. I like to pretend I'm busy. And Parker reveals that
I do not have hockey. It is a stat holiday, Victoria Day, next Monday.
So we good doing it?
It is also my birthday, and it will be a fun show on Monday night, where we'll see how I'm feeling.
I know we're deciding right in front of like 60 people right now. Are you okay doing a show on your birthday?
Absolutely, as long as I am okay from Sunday. I might be a game time decision. I will let you know if I'm out of commission.
It might be the best show ever. Okay, so everyone, we will do our best to let you know through social media, through our channel, what's happening next Monday, Victoria Day. And and if Parker somehow makes it here and is not in good shape, we're gonna have to find a way to cheer him up. But let's worry about that next week. And Parker, how old are you turning? If you don't mind me asking, 26,
25.
Right? 25. You're turning 25. Okay, love it.
All right, folks. Thank you guys very much for hanging out with us on this Monday, May 16th. That's it for us. If you missed any part of the show, you can rewind back to the beginning. You can find it on your favorite podcast platform in the next 15, 20 minutes or so. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit the like button. Go follow Clay on Twitter and YouTube at Canuck Clay. I'm Parker's Pucks. You guys, it's right below. It's up here. It's everywhere. You guys got to figure it out at this point. And we will see you next week.